Let's get to the stat of the day here so that Chris Cody, he could shake. Look at him. He's rubbing his hands together. He thinks he's got a good one.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
The stat of the day is presented by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This comes courtesy of Sam Esfandiari, although it's a stat, so I could have looked this up, so I don't know why I'm crediting him. For the series, the NBA Finals, Steph is shooting 14 for 31 on wide open threes. 45%, pretty good. For the series, in very tight threes, he's 11 for 20, 55%. So basically the strategy should be don't guard Steph.
We've never seen somebody who can shoot like this. I don't know if he can do it 4 times in 7 games, but Stan Van Gundy told you the last time he was on, the Boston Celtics have an appreciable talent and size advantage. They might not win because Steph might be Steph 4 times in 7 games, but he's telling you that when he's watching it physically, Draymond can't do anything because it's varsity against JV in terms of size. Draymond, a Hall of Famer, is being turned into a shame-soaked incompetent who has to be benched by his coach while he goes loud on podcasts, promote my podcast, I want all the attention. Holy shit, that's a lot of attention. Oh my God, I'm terrible at basketball. I'm the worst thing you've seen in the finals since Ben Simmons, and I'm a dude who scored 30-plus in a Game 7 in a finals once. But now every time I shoot, everyone watching in America knows I'm frisbeeing up a garbage can lid to hit the side of the backboard or the side of the rim in a way that's totally flat because everyone can see I don't want to shoot out here.
But is the key to being bad with confidence? Because he does it with such a brashness that I'm in control. I'm doing everything right. I can't shoot, but I'm doing everything else right. I'm defending right. I'm setting screens right. I'm ball handling right. I'm passing right. Everything about the basketball game, I'm still doing correctly. I just miss a shot every now and again. He's even said, look, I'm not as good at shooting threes as Steph and Klay are. Why would you even want me to shoot threes? I shouldn't be shooting threes. And the Celtics are leaving him open. He's 0 of 9 from 3 in this series, but he does it with such a confidence, and I'm like, I still think he's good, even though his box score numbers are terrible.
He might have confidence. Every time he lines up wide open from 3, I want you to imagine, it's not one of these small garbage can lids. It's not metal either. It's one of those plastic ones. Big green plastic ones.
Can we do that? I want to go out to a hoop.
Frisbeeing.
I think I'll do better than Draymond.
Every time he takes a 3, it's like he's frisbeeing up there a garbage can lid on one of those heavy industrial size strength garbage cans. I have no confidence that he will not be the worst player in the history of basketball. And it's weird to have that be the loudest podcast guy. Yet this is you have that stat. I've got this one. From Micah Adams, there have been 2,553 finals games where someone has played 34 minutes. He is the first player ever to foul out with fewer than 5 points, rebounds, and assists, making the argument it's the worst finals performance you've ever seen. That Draymond Green is totally incompetent, making Steve Kerr bench him at a critical moment. America's loudest sports podcaster, who has climbed to the top of the rankings because every time he comes to one of those press conferences, he's promoting the Draymond Green show where he talks freely about the worst finals performance any of us have ever seen. Because he's real interested in getting back to his podcast. It is delightful. It's wonderful.
Don't you hate people who promote their podcast shamelessly? That's ridiculous.
I ask you again how you guys think after going down 3-1. If that fourth quarter goes differently, if Tatum gives you anything and you've benched Draymond and they're down 3-1, do you think you're getting on his podcast not questioning Kerr's move to bench him in the fourth quarter? Do you think you're getting go-along guy who says, well, we lost that game, but it's not because he didn't trust me in the fourth quarter to be out there as a champion? as the guy who's at the core. Like, Klay Thompson might be a liability, but really, Draymond, the very end of your triumvirate there where they've made you famous is Steph's going to have to bail you out because you're the worst? The worst?
You're the worst behind a guy who missed 900 days of basketball because of 2 nearly career-ending injuries. And Klay Thompson has still been more trustworthy in this series than Draymond Green. This is a guy, Draymond Green, who once in the playoff run, I think when they won the 2017 title, shot 41% from 3. And that's unfathomable now.
At the end of the Warriors' run, when you're the dude who ran off Durant, the last embers of this thing, either successful or otherwise, are going to be dragging the ashes of your ass because you got nothing. You're going to be a liability. The Warriors, we're all looking and like, oh, wait a minute. They're thin. After Wiggins, good God. Where are they going to get? If Poole's not giving them something, hey, Draymond, would you like to play? Draymond, would you like to give us a dozen points?
Dan,
or you just want to fight with Cedric Maxwell?
Could you have envisioned before the start of the playoffs saying the phrase after Wiggins? Because going into the playoffs, like I there's this one Kansas basketball fan who's been in my direct messages since October. Because I said on the show
Do you respond?
that Andrew Wiggins, no, I haven't once. He sent me like 11 messages. And I said that Andrew Wiggins was bad at the start of the season. And I will have to retract now. I waited because he was an all-star, but he was bad in the second half of the regular season. He's the only dependable Golden State Warrior and goes out as Draymond Green gets benched in the fourth quarter and sets a career high, regular season and postseason in rebounds by 3 rebounds. Like, he was fundamental in winning that game and has become the second most dependable Warrior. And I would not have thought entering this playoffs that the Warriors have a chance if Wiggins is the second most dependable Warrior.
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yes.
Do you want a future in this business? Yes or
Yes,
no?
yeah, that'd be great.
You can't let the reply guys win. You need to double down and say Andrew Wiggins is not good. You can't retract something you said, a take you had, because someone's been DMing you, telling you how wrong you are.
I was entrenched, but if you do it in the finals, you can't really argue with that. Like,
No.
Andrew Wiggins has been really dependable, made a bunch of open shots, good defense, good rebounder in the finals. Like,
You can't lose an argument you don't give up on.
That's
so
right.
you just want me to stay entrenched.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Push it further.
I was actually listening this weekend to NBA insiders, and I saw some tragic mistakes being made by Amin Elhassan and Zach Harper. And these are the mistakes. First of all, Amin Elhassan, when I tuned in, was simply not listening to the person he was interviewing and lost his train of thought and forgot what his question was. The person he was talking to called him on it, and he admitted that he was not listening and that he was distracted. He was looking at Instagram. Then Amin Elhassan turns to Zach Harper and says, the winner of Game 5, blank. And Zach Harper says, no, the loser of Game 5 is going to win the series. And by the end of the segment, Zach Harper realized that he had picked the Celtics before the series, but was now picking the Golden State Warriors to lose Game 5 and then win in 7 games, thus ensuring that he will be wrong because he's picked both sides.
He'll also be right. And that's why
Exactly
they're
right.
pros, Dan. These are 2
Yep.
of the best in the biz here at Metal Arc Media. Witty, you need to learn from the masters.
You have not yet doubled down on the absurdity of this, but what you're watching, and this is what's wonderful, right? It's not just a historic player who has changed the game. As now you have all sorts of people in Golden State, the general manager, everyone else saying, Steph Curry, stop questioning him. He is a made man. Nothing that happens in these next 3 games changes that Steph Curry is a made man. But we're about to see the most unprecedented shooter we've ever seen. He's 3 games away, 2 victories away from dragging Draymond Green's carcass into getting the last laugh as Draymond gets benched. Again, that's such a hard move for Steve Kerr to make. Good God, because he loses Draymond. If they lose that game, if they lose that fourth quarter, Draymond, who's rage-filled and playing on the cusp of emotion, a guy who's been ejected because he can't stop kicking people and hitting people in the nuts. He's like on the cusp. He was saying at the beginning of this series, I deserve deferential treatment. He didn't call it preferential. Deferential treatment, because when I get one technical, I play in the rage and the ref's got to let it go. He's benched. Benched in the middle of this series where you've made a star of yourself for your mouth. Benched because you're the worst player on the floor, and Steph, the smallest one, is dragging you and your podcast to more games and not allowing you to destroy this team the way that you did when you went after Kevin Durant. Like, Draymond, here it is for you. It's the triumvirate. It's the Holy Trinity. No one's ever beaten you guys whole. They need something from you, Draymond. Something. Not benched in the fourth quarter as our season's being decided. You have as much to do with the result as I do, watching like the rest of us.
But something has never been for Draymond Green scoring. And so it's always been an intangible rebounding, defending, screen setting, passing, bringing the ball up the floor. Like, he has never been, even as he gets respected, as still on level pegging with Steph and Klay. If you look at his box score numbers this season, that's not what they would indicate. It's people telling you that know about basketball, this is the best defender in the NBA.
He's got more fouls than points.
Yeah, that's who he's been nonstop fouling in this series, and it's because Boston have put him under pressure. They keep driving at him, and he has to make decisions. But are they going to play him? Like, are they going to? Is he going to lose minutes because they have to space the floor? He is important. He passes very well to Steph. He sets very good screens for Steph. The stuff off of him and Steph seems to work, no matter how good the defense, because of how excellent Steph is. But when he got benched for Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney doesn't stretch the floor. He just, I think he
stretches it more than Draymond, who they are not respecting to make anything from anywhere because they're treating him like Ben Simmons.
Well, I think that's the difference, is that Kevon Looney will roll to the rim and live near the rim.
Looney and four guards. Looney, you're small, but it's Looney and Wiggins, and look, man, the lineup of death is done. If Draymond is benched, the lineup of death is done. Draymond is the weak link. Klay is now a liability. Golden State looks thin. And their only hope is, Steph, can you please be greater than anyone's ever been shooting a basketball?
And he says, yes, I can. And he has.
2 times in 4 games.
I think Draymond Green is getting too much criticism.
3 times in 4 games.
I think
maybe in every game.
He's been great in every game.
He's been great.
You can't have a quibble with any of his games.
You know what? My bad. They've only won 2 of them, but the ask of Steph is, Steph, can you be better than them? Can you be better than all of them? Number 1 defense, because Klay's a liability, Draymond's benched, and you're out here with Wiggins and Poole, and we're not even sure what Poole's going to give us every night.
It's exactly the same thing the Heat were asking of Jimmy Butler. Steph Curry is answering, I think I can. Klay Thompson is getting a free pass here. He's the one who's supposed to be the big scorer,
he's
not
hurt,
Draymond Green.
But we all know that this year he went from not playing, he went from best 2-way player to liability on defense.
Right.
He's going to get a pass because of the injury. What'd you say? How many days, Chris Whittingham?
It was 900 days that he missed.
You can't just come back and be the same guy.
Well, I don't think he'll ever. Well, you don't want to say ever, but it's hard to imagine he'll ever be the same athlete that he was before that. Like, those are 2 insurmountable injuries, Achilles and ACL back to back. And you don't play for 3 years?
I thought
maybe next year we'll see a version of Klay.
Say never. Say never.
No.
You have to say never.
I have to. I'm gonna equivocate and say maybe there's a chance that next year he looks like a
equivocator
renewed athlete.
You're very bad at the take thing.
Yeah.
Can't equivocate.
You can't equivocate with the take. You have to get out there and say the thing. For 4 years with Kevin Durant, they were overwhelming, and it was hard to stay together. The energy of it defeated them. Durant at the end is just like, bleep off. I'm going to go with this misery Kyrie, and I'm going to quietly sign in Brooklyn. I'm so tired of these TV shows and all of the decision. I'm just going to go to Brooklyn. I'm tired of Draymond. Get it out of my life.
And if he stayed healthy, he would have won 3 straight championships.
Still would be winning them right now. They'd be the most overwhelming team to ruin the league ever in sports. Like, they'd still be winning championships because Steph would still not win Finals MVP because now it would be Durant making all the jumpers because you can't guard all of them. But it's been stripped down so that Durant now leaves. And what a mind bleep this is on the legacy. Steph's couple of games from showing everybody, hey, Durant, you needed him. He didn't need you. He's a couple of games from like 1 Finals MVP from, oh, look at that, and dragging Draymond with him. You couldn't get along with Draymond, but I carried his dead ass at the end too. Like, that's what Steph's like. You couldn't even get along with Draymond, and you blew it up. But look, they had to bench his ass, and I still torched the number 1 defense because Draymond's out here fouling it all up. I'm out here with liability Klay. I'm going to do it by myself. I'm going to be all the things, Kevin, that they said you couldn't be when you had Westbrook and OKC. He's 3 games from it because he's going to earn our respect because at the last embers of this dynasty, we're like, oh, shit, is Steph going to do this by himself at the end? It's the last bit of what they've got left from being light years ahead is that Steph shoots better than everybody?
I will say, I had a bizarre experience with this Game 4 on Friday night. I fell asleep at halftime. And so I woke up the next morning and I listened to post-game reaction podcasts before I watched the second half. I then went back and watched the second half. And it was interesting how much the conversation was about Steph when you consider that in the fourth quarter, he didn't make a field goal until 3 minutes and 46 seconds left in the quarter. The game was being decided by all these other guys that we're talking about as not being good enough. Klay had 7 points in that fourth quarter, and all those shots were massive. Jordan Poole pulled off a couple. Andrew Wiggins pulled off a couple.
Boston goes 7 or 8 minutes without scoring.
Well, they went the final 5 minutes scoring 3 points. So it was a lot of defensive work that went into this, but Steph got some help in that fourth quarter. Which isn't to say
that's not going to be the story, though.
Right,
that's not going to be
because
43.
It's a weird moment where the 3 quarters that preceded it have more weight in the minds of the viewer, and I think it's all to do with that moment in the third quarter where he hits, contested 3 in front of Robert Williams, contested 3 where he gets fouled by Jason Tatum, in that moment where he used Gary Payton as a shield in the corner to get around him and drill a 3. Like those 3 threes that he hit in pretty quick succession were the holy shit Steph Curry moment of that game, and that lived longer in the memory than the fourth quarter where he didn't do a ton. Obviously his gravity plays a huge role in them being able to score, but he actually got the help that he needed in that fourth quarter.
This is the amazement that I have in what it is that he's presently accomplishing, because that's a team that turns the ball over, and there is nothing missing from the resume of Steph Curry before this started other than people saying he has not won a Finals MVP. For him to be the smallest player on the court and to be facing a defense that none of us have any doubt about how good it is, no matter how injured it is. Steph Curry as a gravitational pull, pulling all of that defense to wherever he is. 4 long guys, because you don't have to respect Draymond, and look, if Klay beats you in this series, you're fine. But everything is geared. Every Udoka move. I don't know if you guys saw it, but a Boston reporter reported that Udoka went to his huddle and said to his players, and Steph did this to him, "We need to stop playing like assholes," is what it is that he told the Boston Celtics. This was his coaching.
Like Frank Asscrack.
Yeah.
Just like Frank Asscrack. And this was his Coach of the Year moment. We need to stop playing like assholes.
That's
and
great.
Who made them look like assholes? It's just Steph and the gravitational pull of they're all trying to stop him, and they can't. They're all trying to stop him. Jason Tatum is trying to make an ascendant leap that, honestly, they can win the championship without much help from Tatum. They won game 1 with him going 3 for 17. Like, Tatum can win a championship and beat Steph Curry because he's got the best defense and the best team, but it might not be because Jason Tatum actually beat Steph Curry.
Yeah, he has a lower field goal percentage than Steph Curry averages points per game in this series. It's remarkable how bad Jason Tatum has been. And it's not like all those looks are bad either. It's just, for whatever reason, he has had a bad finals.
Is it whatever reason, or is it that he was obviously hurt grabbing 3 body parts in the last series, and all these guys, we're never going to give them the excuse of, I didn't think I can make the measurements at all at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals because everybody looked so broken to me, and now we're just back to everyone's healthy again?
Steph Curry was an injury doubt for game 4. Scored 43 points. So I don't know how to do that measurement. I do agree with you that the stinger or whatever he had in his shoulder still appears to be bothering him. But it's kind of hard. Like, if Jason Tatum comes out and has a great game 5, did he miraculously recover in the 2 games?
Well, what happened with Jimmy Butler? Can anyone explain that? Game 4 and 5, where he's a human torso and he's got no legs, no arms, no nothing, can't shoot threes, can't shoot anything. Goes 2 games where you're like, this is the end of his season and his body is expiring for the season, and then out of nowhere, is it the magic of voodoo medicine? Is it that we don't know what they shoot into these guys?
We don't know what the medical treatments are game to game, because I think that in the regular season, Jimmy Butler probably misses a week, if not longer, with the injury that he had in the Eastern Conference Finals. And with whatever injections, with whatever rest and recovery, managed to summon a performance. I just don't know how to do measurements alongside injuries.
Let's do this then.
If the guy's playing. If he's not playing, then be like, all
okay,
right.
we will have 3 games to make this assessment. I don't believe that Tatum or Curry are any better or worse for whatever it is happens in the next 3 games. To me, they don't need to prove anything to me. Jason Tatum, while healthy, is an exceptional basketball player. And if he can't beat Steph Curry at the end, because Steph Curry is an unprecedented basketball player, I will not hold it against Jason.
I
know I'm supposed to. But the part that I want to discuss with you guys, because I love that his mouth has made him an integral figure, and now the pressure is on him as he is the worst player on the court. When you're Draymond Green and C.J. McCollum is questioning you and saying to you that he thinks the Celtics are going to win the title. And Draymond Green's response is, well, they're going to be ringless just like you, CJ. Just like you. When you're that kind of mouth, what is the audience rooting for to happen in this series? Do you want them to win in spite of Draymond Green? Do you want them to lose so that Draymond Green gets humbled? Draymond Green, his mouth has turned him into a pivotal figure here, even as he stinks. Like a pivotal figure in the middle of there are plenty of players on the court who stink, who are not getting this amount of attention and pressure. He wanted all of this. He's got a podcast that he too.
The crowd wasn't chanting "Good luck next game, Draymond."
Yeah.
But it is the Boston crowd, because it's not like the Boston crowd are terribly sympathetic figurative of what the neutral tuning in to watch the NBA Finals is experiencing with Golden State. I love Golden State. I love watching them play. I love Steph Curry. I think aesthetically they've been by far the most entertaining team of the last 10 years. They took the mantle from the 7 seconds or less Suns of team that you just want to watch on a Tuesday night on ESPN, in my opinion. But the Draymond Green thing, like, I don't know if that's enough to contaminate all of it for a lot of people, because he is, I would say, the biggest character remaining in the NBA Finals. That he, with his mouth, outshines, at times, Steph Curry and Jason Tatum. Even Curry press. Like, we're not good at, wow, Steph Curry, how great is he? Pretty damn great. Here's how great he is. Steph Curry, great. Like, we do well with Draymond Green talking some shit.
It's just not interesting to always talk about how good someone is, right? Like, we like to focus on the weird things or the bad things because there's just more to debate and talk about. Woody, if you're going to make it in this industry, you can't just be complimenting and praising guys for being good.
What do you hate about the Warriors?
I love him.
Who needs to shut up?
No, nobody.
No one needs
nobody.
to. Draymond doesn't need to shut up and not dribble. He needs to shut up and never dribble.
I find fascinating what he's going through as a human being, because he's like, he can only do it this way. There is no other, like, even if he's being bad, even if he's shooting 23% from the field and 0% from 3, that's what he's doing in this series. 0% from 3. And yet he still carries himself as if he's the most important player, as if there's an orbit around how the referees treat him. And I'm fascinated that he can't even switch it off now.
I love delusional confidence. I love delusional confidence that lacks all self-awareness. I believe that in sports can be so humbling that it can penetrate and dent even delusional confidence. And what Draymond Green has now welcomed into his life, all he's got to do, Whittingham, is merely not be totally terrible, make his coach bench you in the pivotal moment. All he's got to be is less terrible than Steve Kerr. I've placed atop you the hardest decision, which is take volatile Draymond Green out of the game, maybe lose the fourth quarter, and deal with that in your locker room when it's down 3-1 and he's pissed off that you've benched him. That's crazy that Draymond has pressured his organization light years ahead of everybody to place him in a corner where all he's got to do to get out of it is merely not be incompetent.
If he made a three, the Chase Center tonight will go insane. That's all he has to do, because you know that there's a feeling in that arena when he lines up for the first 3 tonight. It's like, oh, shit. Can this be the one that finally gets him going? If he hits the first 3, I think that arena will go.
How have they turned him into Tony Allen, though? You guys remember where you were when it became Golden State passing Memphis because it was like Bogut in game 5 and 6. Oh, never mind. Tony Allen, just shoot all you want out there wearing your construction boots.
They smack their forehead and realize, oh, we don't have to defend him.
We don't have to guard him.
Just have him stand near the rim.
God, that game is cruel, though. You're Tony Allen, Draymond. The Celtics have turned you into Tony Allen when you're a Hall of Fame player.
If anything, worse, because at least Tony Allen was the most reliable defender. Draymond Green can't defend without fouling in this series.
In fairness to Draymond Green, and somebody has to say it, he had 9 rebounds and 8 assists in the last game. I mean, he wasn't doing nothing out there. And if he comes out in the next game and hits his first 1 or 2 threes, he's going to put up a metaphorical middle finger to everybody and say I'm back, and I wouldn't blame him.
He might do a literal middle finger to everybody.
You never know.
Yeah.
But I think Draymond Green's fine. He's going to be fine.
Greg,
would it surprise you if he had a big game?
Greg,
in 5, wouldn't surprise me.
he forced his top 15 coach of all time to bench him in the fourth quarter
I get that.
when their dynasty was being decided.
Right.
In the fourth quarter, at the most pivotal time, when they needed something, 9-rebound Draymond, when they could have used defense.
Right.
Draymond yanked off the court for 7 minutes and pissed off about it. That's not us thinking Draymond Green's not going to be fine. That's Steve Kerr telling you that in the most pivotal moment of their season, he could not trust Draymond Green to be fine. It's not a small indictment, and it's a really difficult decision to put in Steve Kerr's lap. You have to be a special kind of terrible for him to not trust you when you've won him championships, plural.
Would it surprise you if Draymond Green in Game 5 came out and had one of those 8 or 10 point first quarters?
They're going to leave him. They're going to leave him wide open to not be an incompetent basketball player. That's not where the standard's supposed to be on Draymond Green when he's selling you your podcast and his mouth and everything else. The standard isn't, hey, can you like? Yes, no, I wouldn't be surprised if Draymond was great. I'm more interested in, holy shit, the pressure has arrived at a place where he better be. He better be something less than incompetent. We'll give him great if they win. If he's merely less than totally incompetent so that his coach has to bench him.
That's fair.
I mean, it's unbelievable the pressure that he's brought on himself. That delusional confidence now goes into games. It's best of 3, and you ain't done shit that Steph hasn't had to bail you out of in the first 2 games. And I love that. I believe Draymond Green to be really, 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 really mentally tough. It'll be tested. Because this shit's hard. Once you get to this point where your mother's out there saying, I don't recognize Draymond Green, that's your mother. You're calling your mother's house. Mom, come on. You got to have her on the podcast. You got to have her. Come on, Draymond. Just get her on the podcast. What are you doing, Mom?
Is there an accusation here that maybe this is conspiracy for Draymond Green's mom to be the big get for Draymond Green's podcast?
I believe Amin Elhassan.
Building the narrative around the podcast?
Amin Elhassan, I think on Basketball Illuminati with Tom Haberstroh, is about to accuse Draymond of dumping games on purpose to promote his podcast. To be this bad on purpose because it's just great for the podcast business. He's clearly going to retire into the podcast business.
Yeah, I mean, who has their parents on a podcast with them, right? That's just weird.
That'd be the worst.
Can't find another guest.
I know, that's terrible.
Let's do funniest thing from the sports weekend here.
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha, ha, ha!
Funniest thing from the sports weekend is presented by CBD MD.
Tony, I understand you finally played basketball with Ted Lasso creator Bill Lawrence.
I did, yeah.
This weekend.
It was awesome.
Where's my invite?
Lost in the mail, sorry. Yeah, I send yours by mail. No, he was awesome. He's got a great old man game. He's got a great
that's
pump
rude.
up
That's
and under.
rude.
No, hold on.
rude.
He's a real basketball player. He's just an older guy, but the way that he can get on the block, kind of shimmy somebody down, give him a pump fake, let him fly by and go under was great. He had like 3 or 4 of those. The guy couldn't stop it. It was incredible.
Great old man game, a compliment.
Were you guys
Yes,
on the same team?
Absolutely. No, we were on opposite teams.
Was there any one-on-ones? Any,
Yeah, we had a couple
moments?
one-on-ones, but he didn't want to take it to the big dog. That's cool.
Okay. There it is.
I love Bill Lawrence though. We're gonna play again, probably next week.
I
not
learned
next week,
I
another
learned something else about the block this weekend that Ron McGill had on Tony that I will bring up tomorrow during the Ron McGill segment. I think
Whatever that is an absolute fallacy because I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I caught the ball, middle of the free throw line, turned around, Ron was in the 2-3. I tried to put up a little floater, and he got it by his fingernail and blocked it out.
Super chatty when he's not here.
Yeah, but when he's here, I mean, all he can do is just say fake things. So imagine.
We will address this tomorrow with Ron McGill
Jeez.
if there's not another sea turtle emergency. I have found another detail that I want to share with the audience that I believe to be a bit shocking on what happened in that game between Ron McGill and Tony, but we'll leave that for tomorrow. Chris, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
I'm gonna go with Jeremy Schaap chiming in on Twitter, defending Chris Whittingham. I don't know, I don't believe it. Schaap's wrong.
What?
He said that Whitty says bona fides correctly.
Correctly.
And it's nonsense. But how happy it made Whitty is what's my funniest thing from the
Put
weekend.
it on the poll, Guillermo. Does Chris Cody root against Chris Whittingham's happiness? Whittingham was radiant with joy. Jessica, you were radiant with joy because Lando was on with us, and you were very excited about that. But you were also very excited because he didn't know the pronunciation that Whittingham uses of bona fides. He rejected that.
Also, controversy. Never heard of controversy.
Just nonsense, by the way.
Well,
so you are
it's
now
not
radiant
nonsense.
because Jeremy Schaap is the authority on these things?
I mean, if we can't trust Jeremy Schaap with language, then who can we trust?
Mad Dog Russo.
Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. If we can't trust Jeremy Schaap with language, who can we trust? Yes or no?
Literally anyone else. Like, why is Jeremy Schaap
what?
the arbiter on the English language?
He's in my view, from a broadcasting standpoint, one of the best that has ever done it.
Yeah,
In
if
terms
Bob
of
Lee would have
elocution, use of language, he is a phenomenal broadcaster.
tweeted at you, you would have said the same about Bob.
so true.
Yeah, well, I mean, the two of them. The two
Anyone
of them
but
are
Jim
the
Gray.
main people.
He's not like an English scholar. He's a
He
host.
might be, honestly.
He sounds good. I'm not knocking him. He's not like a bad person. I'm just saying.
It was
like,
also such a
he
funny
might be
way.
wrong too.
Feels like a bit of a put on with Schaap.
Live from the Belmont Stakes, I'm Jeremy Schaap, ESPN.
I believe Jeremy Schaap is somebody who protects our language. I believe Jeremy Schaap
was
is
also-
someone that I trust. If he is saying, he will take great care to be right. I think he wants to be accurate.
I love that, like, also, he used it in the context of talking about the Stanley Cup Finals. It wasn't about, like, sports watching at Live Golf, which I presume is Jeremy Schaap's wheelhouse. It was talking to PK Subban about the Stanley Cup Finals and asking him if the Tampa Bay Lightning's playoff bona fides are enough to get them over the line in the Eastern Finals. Just not the context I would have imagined, but I was alarmed at how I was trying to hide the smile on my face after I saw it because I seemed too oddly happy.
Really, Chris Cody claiming that Whittingham. Okay, you claiming that Whittingham got an erection when Jeremy Schaap said that's what Chris Cody
said
is.
that?
Chris Cody seems to be indicating that back there. He did a lot more.
There's a lot of I said that's not all you did. I didn't necessarily mean that.
He
but-
could have been
Wow.
eating anything.
Okay, Billy, what was
I
the,
meant it.
What was the funniest
Let
thing?
me ask you guys a question. You think Jeremy Schaap has a badge that he created for himself as defender of the English language that he just pulls out from time to time?
You should recommend it for his Twitter bio. I'd be more than happy to endorse that wholeheartedly.
This isn't LinkedIn. You can't endorse a skill on a Twitter bio.
It also means nothing coming from me.
Well, but if a guy has spent 25 years of a journalism career trying to be super accurate, longer basically, I think, Jessica, than you've been alive, it is a bit dismissive
Thank
to
you.
to smear him with not honoring that he would try to get things right as opposed to anyone around here.
I want to see him with his hair down. I want to see what the real Jeremy Schaap
Hammered.
is. You know
Jealous,
what I mean?
like Woody right now.
Oh, I've seen him hammered.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Wow.
It's not as crazy as you imagine. Billy, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Joe Madden getting a mohawk to surprise his team and getting fired before
So
his team
good.
could see his
it's
mohawk.
just so great.
Allegedly.
It's not funny. It's just sad.
It is, but it's funny sad. It's funny sad because you have the photograph of him in a lonely bathroom mirror, like at the end of his career.
He has to cut his own hair, right? Like finish off the job. There's no way he goes back to the same barber and he's like, Hank, didn't work out.
Hank.
I just love it as a last ditch motivational technique. You know how I'm gonna get Ohtani and Trout to be better? I'm gonna cut my hair. I'm a genius CEO type.
I'm going to be like one of the youngs.
I'm gonna be wacky at 68 years old. I'm gonna get a mohawk, and I'm gonna go in there, and they are gonna be shaken up.
I'm gonna shuck a bra when I walk into the door.
I'm gonna loosen up the clubhouse, or I'm gonna go in and immediately get fired, and then leave the facility with a mohawk I shouldn't have as a 68-year-old man.
Just imagine the vacation though that he planned right when he got fired. That's always what I think about when like someone rich gets fired. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I lost my job, but I have millions of dollars and I can plan the wildest trip. I'm not going to be home for 6 months.
Are you the residue of sadness on Joe Madden? You believe he immediately cut his hair, Jessica? You immediately you think that he got some help cutting his hair? Did he go to a barber? Did he even leave the facility? Like, does he drive home with a mohawk? Is he wearing a baseball cap?
I think he sleeps on it for one night and then he wakes up the next morning and starts his new life and shaves it as like a ritualistic beginning, a new beginning.
Does it himself, though?
He probably laughs at it. Joe Madden seems like a guy who has perspective on things. He probably says, wow, look at me. I'm a fucking idiot.
I think he leans into it. I think that's his new look from now on. When he gets his next managerial job, he's rocking the hawk at his introductory press conference.
That's a great call.
Rock that hawk! Rock that hawk!
Rock that hawk.
Sounds dangerously close to sounding like something else. Jessica, what is the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
It was Yuki Tsunoda. His rear wing like broke in half, and he went into the pit lane, and the engineers came out and taped it on up, and then he went right back out into the race while an FIA steward stormed down the pit lane to yell at them, apparently, because that was not an adequate fix in his opinion.
Fixing a Formula One car with duct tape. It was unbelievable.
Millions of
It
dollars.
was a great visual.
Just so that he can maybe, without the ability, so basically that rear wing opens so you can gain some extra speed in the straights, and he couldn't do that because it's duct taped together. So without the added benefit of speed, is trying to get from 13th to 10th in the final 3 laps. Instead of just saying, you know what, guys, the wing broke. Not going to work out today. It's let's send a car at 200 miles an hour held together by duct tape so we can maybe, without the added benefit of speed, get to 10th place.
He was having a great race, too. I Googled Jeremy Schaap a few minutes ago. Schaap. Jeremy Schaap. Did not know this man was 52 years old. He looks like he's in his 30s.
Wait, he's only 52?
Hold on a
Really?
second. You thought he was in his 30s?
I'd say like 39.
He has the soul of a 74-year-old.
He does, but he has
does
great
look
skin.
young.
Whatever his skin routine is, I would like to know. Second thing I learned, his dad's name, Dick Schaap.
He's a legendary journalist.
He's a
Dick
legendary journalist.
Yes, but are we all like the joke is that his name's Dick Schaap?
But you're making a joke because you don't know who Dick Schaap is, where Dick Schaap is.
I understand he's a famous guy. I'm looking at his Wikipedia
name is
page
Dick.
as we speak.
But
His
if it
name
was
is
Dick Schaap,
we
it'd
do
be
not
funnier,
talk about
yeah.
that. Dick Schaap would be funny.
Yeah, because like a
I
shop
mispronounced his name.
Uncle
Dick
Dick
Schaap.
Dicks. Yeah.
That's a totally different place. That's where one shops for dicks.
Or fixes them.
That's true. It could be body. It could be also. It could also be a body shop for dicks.
That's right. An ED doctor.
But it's not a dick shop. It's an ED doctor. The
Too
dick
much
shop.
detail, Dad.
Okay,
Too
an
much
ED
detail. Thank you.
doctor. All right, put it on the poll. Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Do you envy the skin routine of Jeremy Schaap? And does Jeremy Schaap have the soul of a
glowing.
77-year-old?
Great skin.
What was the funniest thing from the sports weekend, Whittingham?
I'm going with Mike Trout blaming ESPN Fantasy for the issues that happened in his fantasy league that led to the altercation between Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson.
It's so
It's
good.
always the host's fault. There's always an email that goes around at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Hey, this doesn't look right in my lineup. The commissioner's got to go in. I'm just imagining Mike Trout fielding those texts. Like, he's got a Sunday 1 p.m. game during week 1 of the season, and he's in the clubhouse before the game fielding emails and texts from an angry Jock Peterson and Tommy Pham about what's going on in his fantasy league, and he blames ESPN and an IR thing. It's just so funny that he blamed the host of the fantasy league rather than himself for this.
You have to imagine that somewhere in management, someone saw that and then like sent an email to an underling and was like, hey, Mike Trout says we need to fix this for next year. Like, can we look into this? And they're like, yeah, we'll look into that to fix the Trout problem. And they do nothing, right?
I love that this Trout story is the single most interesting thing I've ever read about him as someone who has been the best baseball player any of us have ever seen, better than Babe Ruth.
First time you've ever wanted him wired for sound
Yes,
on
I
Sunday
want to
Night
find
Baseball.
out what Mike Trout has to say about this. I want honesty from Mike Trout. This is his most controversial moment.
Right.
Being at the center of this. Greg, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
So Cubs are playing at Yankees. Stanton hits a deep drive. The fans cheer like it's a home run. It's caught on the warning track. Cubs Twitter mocks the fans, tweets out, the Yankee fans think everything is a home run. The Yankees go on to hit 6 home runs in the game, and the Yankees Twitter tweets back, looks like maybe everything is a home run. I enjoyed that.
The Yankees were up like 8-1 in the second inning. They are totally overwhelming. And John Smoltz, who the internet loves to drag John Smoltz. We've all lived long enough to see John Smoltz go from one of the smartest baseball people you've ever met to now someone that baseball people laugh about. A Cubs pitcher threw a ball to Giancarlo Stanton in which John Smoltz said, "I'm impressed with this kid," and the next pitch left the stadium faster than any ball this season. Like by 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's the hardest ball hit. Giancarlo Stanton hit one of those balls that threatens to hit the shortstop in the face and then ends up in the upper deck because he hit a ball so incredibly hard. I can't believe that John Smoltz is someone we now laugh at his baseball coverage. But I didn't think this was funny, but I did think it was interesting. As the Broncos went for $4.5 billion to the Walton family, Andrew Petcash reports what John Elway could have done at the end of his career that very quietly Tom Brady was trying to put together last year and did not deny that he was trying to put together with the Dolphins. Toward the end of his career, according to Petcash, John Elway could have gotten 10% of the team for the $21 million that was owed him, and 10% of the team for another $15 million. So he could have had 20% of the Broncos for $36 million, which would have been worth $1 billion+ in the purchase that was just made. And Petcash reports that Elway instead decided to put that money into investments, all that failed, and a hedge fund manager that went to jail for 40 years with $15 million of the dollars that he gave him.
It's not most interesting things from the sports weekend, Dan. That's a different segment.
Damn it. Let's do that one next. The praise is pouring in on everything we do from every angle. Someone writes in, I love the show, but maybe the Le Batard Show shouldn't try to talk about golf. It's painful to listen to show members we all love try to speak about golf. No expertise at all. Super annoying. Even the Gotts, the self-proclaimed expert, is so not the expert.
He's that guy.
Also, Spencer Hall needs to up his sound quality. This sounded like he was being recorded by a 2005 Motorola RAZR in a racquetball court. Please, God.
He's that guy.
Razor, please, God, someone at Metal Arc tell him to buy a real microphone.
He's that guy.
Billy, did you make the oh no sound because I said Razor, R-A-Z-R?
It was a good save, though. It was
Okay.
a save, yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
good.
I appreciate it, Billy. Always there for me.
I'm here, man.
Do you know what a
Literally.
razor is, Dan?
I do not know. I don't know what a Motorola Razor is.
You don't?
No.
I bet you had one.
I did not have one.
Really? Let's walk through your phone history. What kind of phones
I
have you
never had a
Let's go
Motorola
backwards.
Razor. I did not have a Motorola Razor.
What was your first phone?
Ooh.
Not a Motorola
Telegraph
Razor.
machine? After that.
The Motorola Razor, Dan, was the one that was like really, really thin, that it flipped over, but it was like as thin as like a razor blade. That's why they called it the Razor.
What is a telegraph machine?
I don't know. They had one in Downton Abbey. The
What?
Titanic, stop. Has sunken, stop. John Jacob Astor, stop. Is missing, stop.
You think that was my phone? You think that my first phone was the Titanic's emergency signal? The way that the Titanic communicated before sinking into the sea is what you believe is my first telephone.
I was just making an old joke, Dan.
Yeah.
What kind of phone did you have? Were you a BlackBerry guy?
Nokia?
Palm
I
Pilot?
never had a
Snake?
BlackBerry. I don't know whether I must have started with
You
an
had a
iPhone.
Palm Pilot. You
No,
had,
I
come
didn't have a
on.
flip phone either. Never had a flip phone. I started.
So
never,
you just got an iPhone. That's
I had
all
a,
You
you
had a
ever had.
sidekick.
I had a landline for a long time.
A landline?
So you don't remember your first cell phone?
Do not. No.
Huh.
I don't remember a phone that wasn't the kind that I use now. That was whatever the original incarnation was of the iPhone.
I remember it being a massive deal when I got a hand-me-down BlackBerry.
I love my
You had a
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry?
I mean,
had a
why are you?
hand-me-down
I
BlackBerry?
was so
amazing.
sad like a couple months ago when they officially stopped BlackBerry service. I haven't had a BlackBerry in like 6 or 7 years, but dude, BBM was a
Oh,
oh,
Brick Breaker. There will never be another cell phone game like Brick Breaker.
Oh.
I miss it so.
Amin, what are you
Snake?
shocked by that I can't remember? Amin is floating throughout that I can't remember what my first phone was, or that it wasn't a Motorola Razor and it was not a flip phone.
First of all, how do you not remember the Motorola Razor? It's one thing to say, oh, I forgot that they spelled it this weird, kind of quirky way with no O in there. But to say, altogether, do not remember this phone that was, it broke people's minds. How could a
Iconic
cell phone
phone.
be that thin?
it was like
like-
it was right before like iPhones took off. So like this was the phone that like all the rich kids in your high school had. They're like, oh, I'm
The
jealous.
pink one. Oh my God, the girls with the pink razors. They were the girls who peaked in 7th grade.
Unquestionably a status symbol to have a Motorola
That was
Razor.
really mean. I take that back.
Wait, I want to play this game. Does Dan remember this phone? Dan, do you remember the Sidekick?
Wow, that's a big shout. It's the first cell phone. It was the
You
first
don't-
It was the first cell phone that had a full-length keyboard, right?
The QWERTY.
Oh, the QWERTY.
Dan, can you
Massive
name
deal.
a phone?
This is the problem that I was having the other day. I was trying to figure out, you would think that it would be a seismic remember where you are type of event on when did you learn how to communicate by texting? When did your phone experience change where your phone went from being something you only use to communicate by voice into something else? I'm old enough to remember getting to a stadium and not being able to find your friends because most of the people did not have cell phones. You had, I'm old enough to remember a time where people got lost and could not reach each other, and I don't remember when that
Oh,
changed.
that was the best when you could pretend to get lost and no one could call you out on it. Because like now everything that you have tracks you, and you can just get a Waze or whatever to take you anywhere you go. So you can't really get lost unless you're a total idiot now, right? Where before it was just like, I don't want to go to this thing. Oh, I couldn't find your house. I got lost. I asked someone at the gas station. They sent me the wrong way. Oh, sorry. See you next time.
Let me paint a picture for Jessica and Whitty and all the other young people in the room. It used to be if I said to Dan, hey, let's meet at the mall, 3:30, Aventura Mall, meet you by the food court. Cool. And then if I got there at 3:30 and Dan wasn't there, The only recourse I had was to pick up the phone and call his mom and says, "Did Dan leave the house?" And she says, "Yes." Welp, that's it. I don't know what. Like, you know what?
I guess he
might
was
not show up.
kidnapped.
Exactly.
Was it a payphone?
That's all you had.
You had to go to like the payphone bank at the Aventura Mall and call. But then what if you don't have her number? Because how would
No,
you
you
have
knew
her
everybody's
number?
You knew everybody's number.
Yeah,
you knew everybody's
You
number.
had to memorize numbers back then.
Huh.
You knew everybody's number.
But you guys all remember this transition? Because I was trying to think the other day, why don't I remember the first time? Never mind it changed over to email, the idea that you wouldn't mail somebody something with a stamp. I don't remember how it is that I was indoctrinated there, and I also have no recollection whatsoever how I transitioned from communicating by phone, using my phone as a phone, to never mind, I'm never answering the phone again. I'm not listening to voicemail. I will only communicate with you by text. I don't have recollection of when that transition took place or how or what the devices were that I was using in order to make that transition.
Well, you're also skipping the pre-text post-cell phone when cell phones was like really expensive to make any call, which was the beeper where you had the beeper code. So if you wanted to page someone, you could send them messages with the beeper codes. You just had to remember what the numbers represented.
And there was also, this is sort of in and around the time of AIM, right? You had AOL Instant Messenger as well. That was a key
On
form
that
of
sidekick.
communication as well.
80% of the time, people were not actually away, right? You're just catfishing. You put the away message out there to see if someone's going to kind of
Showering, be back in 5.
Yeah, but you're really just sitting there being a smelly old person, and you're like, let me just see if this person, now that they see that I went away, will send me the message because they didn't want to talk to me at the time and they wanted to get my away message.
Hold on. You guys had actual honest-to-God away messages?
Of course.
My
Oh
away
yeah,
messages
mine were Fall Out Boy lyrics.
Mine were, yeah, exactly. Well, mine were always like a lyric from a song or the name of a movie or something like that.
Jeremy
Where
and
is your boy tonight? I hope he is a gentleman.
Jessica
I feel
and Jeremy had the same Fallout Boy lyrics.
We're going down in an earlier round.
What was your aim away message, Dan?
I don't remember, Billy.
Nachos.
You know, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but here we are. So in detention at...
You got detention?
I got detention because I was late. So after like 6 or 7 lates, you get a detention, tardiness, right?
The lamest of detentions.
Yeah, I wasn't really a bad boy. Yeah. So in detention, the vice principal, who was also one of like the head disciplinarians at the school, was also a Rottweiler breeder, or like big into like the Rottweiler, world and like the local dog shows. Yeah, like big into the scene of Rottweilers, right? So she made the mistake of having her AIM open while she was like at detention, right? And like everyone saw her screen name. So then everybody like passed around like, this is this person's screen name if you want to like, you know, mess with this person.
452?
No. So they had the screen name, right? And this person's away message was doing rots of things.
It's a terrible pun.
Or got rots of things to do because she was in the Rottweiler game. You know what I mean?
Billy, thought of you this weekend when Jennifer Lopez was quoted as saying that she was not happy with the halftime show. She was not happy with having to share her 14 minutes with Shakira. She thinks an artist of her stature should be get the whole performance and not have to share it with Shakira. She was quoted in a Los Angeles Times interview as using a lot of F words to describe how she felt about being forced to share the stage. One of a memorable halftime show, a halftime show that was super sensual on behalf of a conservative NFL that got really outraged on behalf of its television partners when Janet Jackson had a nipple showing. It was a super sensual shared halftime show, and J.Lo did not like sharing it with Shakira. She thought she should have at least gotten 6 or 7 minutes or made it a 20-minute halftime show instead of them celebrating just 14 shared minutes.
That was sad. I didn't like to see that. They have a documentary coming out about it, right? Like I think it's like.
Is it
this
just
week
about
and
that,
next
or
week.
is it about J.Lo in general? Is it just about the halftime show?
I think it's about the halftime show. I thought it was
called
like,
halftime.
I think so. Yeah. So I would assume it's just about the halftime show, unless this is halftime of J.Lo's career and she's going to live to be 100.
I took the preview as it's just a J.Lo doc, and for some reason they're calling it halftime. I'm going to look that up. I could be wrong.
Regardless, coming from the documentary is the news that she believes that two Latin icons shouldn't have had to share a space, that the space should have been widened, that an artist of their stature who was not Latin, that she was not quoted as this, but one of her handlers was quoted as saying, normally you would get an entire 10-minute, 14-minute situation if you had J.Lo's catalog. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but is that about her being Latin
It's
and
just
thinking
J.Lo, for the record, this doc that we're talking about. It's her doc.
Yeah, but is that about like we think that Latin people shouldn't share it, or is that J.Lo thinks J.Lo shouldn't have to share it?
Well, this was not J.Lo being quoted this way. This was one of her handlers being quoted as saying that her and Shakira should not have had to share a space that an artist of their stature, who was not a Latin woman, would have gotten 14 minutes. The Weeknd didn't get. The Weeknd did not have to go 6 minutes, go as hard as he can, as fast as he can. What J.Lo is saying, what about my library? My stardom is better. Give me more time. This is unacceptable to put my entire library into 5 minutes.
Well, the NFL disagreed. And it was a great halftime show, by the way.
Well, that's also what the Super Bowl is, right? The Super Bowl is medleys, and you do 1 minute and 40 seconds of every song. And isn't that, I believe that's why Outkast has never done the Super Bowl, because Andre 3000 artistically didn't want to agree to that. That's basically what it is.
This last halftime show had like 6 people sharing it. Eminem had like one song. And then 50 Cent was hanging there. He looked like he was going to pass out. Remember that?
Well, to her point, so like 3 years ago, Maroon 5 did it. That's a group, so I don't know if you can compare it. But then the year before was Justin Timberlake, and I believe he had a couple guests join him, but like it was his set, right?
He's also a bigger star than J.Lo.
Well, I guess that's her point, is that like, why is she considered less of a star? Is it because she's a woman and women in the music industry tend to be trampled on? Now, I can see her argument for that. I don't really know enough on the subject to make a counter argument.
Well, Juju is making fun of the J.Lo library. She is it's not much of a library, evidently.
Well, and also, I'm sorry, was there a switcheroo that happened? They say, hey, you're doing the Super Bowl halftime, cool. And then when she shows up, why is Shakira here? Hold on. Are you telling me now I don't get the full? They knew what it was. If you didn't agree with it artistically, you could be like Andre 3000 and say, you know what? Not for me. This thing that, by the way, I don't get paid for. You do it for free. So man, stop complaining about it years later. At the time, why don't you say something? Stop it.
Because it's maximum diva behavior. This is exactly how you should behave. If you're a diva with a flimsy catalog, you should say, I deserve more than 5 or 6 minutes. I don't need to share the stage with Shakira.
I think that Shakira's songs are bigger than Jennifer Lopez's.
They are.
She-Wolf, Away Message from 2008. Really? Oh yeah, big time. Same with Hips Don't Lie. Didn't know what it meant. Yeah. Always posting that on air.
Wow.
I still don't know what it means. What do you mean the hips don't lie? They do a polygraph test? It is a bummer, though, because I think that Super Bowl halftime show is in the pantheon of one of the greatest of all time. And it sucks that J.Lo had a bad takeaway from it, regardless of her intent and if you agree with it or not. It's just a bummer to hear, because I really enjoyed it, and I wish that they had enjoyed making it as much as I enjoyed dancing to it from the press box.
How bad is the J.Lo library? Because Juju,
Waiting for tonight.
that's
Jenny
it
from the block.
and that's it. That's what we've got. That's about 5 or 6 minutes of material.
J.Lo's library isn't bad. It's just get over yourself. 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, everybody shared the stage. And like Amin said, boy, you signed up for it before your ass hopped up on the stage. So, excuse me, ma'am, calm down. You Jenny from the block, we respect you. But Fly Girl, calm down.
All right, thank you.
She also decided to let her daughter sing one of her songs. Like, you want more time? Tell your kid, hey, go back to school.
Oh
it's
my
mommy's
God.
night.
Silly.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. You want more time? That Super Bowl halftime show? Tell your kid it's mommy's time. Go back to school.
Go
Yes
back
or
to
no?
school.
She could just be trying to sell a doc too, right? I know that's kind of being cynical, but now we're all talking about it.
but
I'm more
it's
interested
working.
in this doc now because of it.
But isn't a J.Lo doc interesting to you anyway? Or no,
Yeah.
not really?
It's called Halftime. So she seems to be leaning into this controversy.
I thought you said it was called J.Lo.
No, it's called Halftime.
He said it's about J.Lo.
I said no, it's just we were debating whether this was a doc on the Halftime show. This is a J.Lo doc for some reason called Halftime.
You don't like it. You said you also don't like something else, Billy, today. This has been your move lately. You just say
I stole it from Tony, honestly. I'll admit it. Tony will say that in the corner. He'll just say, I don't like that. And I said, you know what? That's a good little line to toss in there.
Well, you've stolen it, but not only have you stolen it, you've used it in some places where I've been surprised. For example, very historically this weekend, Billy had one of the proudest moments that a parent can have where a child, you are present as the child is taking the first steps. And Billy says, first steps, don't like it.
Well, it's a game changer. Like, now it's over.
Yeah, now she's on the move.
Exactly. Now I can't just say, hey, go sit in the corner. Like, we'll be fine here. Now, like, I need to actually go and put in all of the little plastic things and all of the electrical outlets. Before, I just had, like, the electrical outlets that I knew she could get to. Now it's, like, all of them. I need to tie everything closed so we're not opening things. It's just a lot of work. Could we have waited a couple months?
Billy, I'm telling you right now, man. And the worst part is the mobility and then the ability to stand up and reach higher things that were prior to unreachable.
Drawers are going to get open now.
Yeah.
Yep. And watch out for this one, where they take your keys and then they hide them somewhere.
Oh, I hate that. My passport was missing the other day, and I found it in my daughter's room.
Identity theft.
What?
She like pulled it out of like our drawer where we keep these things. I was like, I guess we got to move this.
This is why safes were invented. It's not for burglars. It's for children.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Were safes invented not for burglars, but for children who steal passports? At LeBatard Show. Billy, what happened this weekend? Was it all unpleasant? Was it all...
No, it was lovely to see. It was nice, but it was also like, okay, well, now it's over. Now we have to pay very close attention. Where before it was like, hey, go in your playpen, play with your toys that make a lot of noise that I can't figure out how to turn the volume down on. But now it's like I need to watch you because you could climb over the edge of that playpen, and then you could be down the hall and you could be jumping around in the toilet for some reason.
You ever have where it's like 11 p.m. at night, the playroom is like dark, and then all of a sudden a toy just starts making a noise, and it scares the shit out of you?
Yeah.
Because it's like, what triggered this toy right now at 11 p.m.?
Well, Billy has a ghost, so that's probably what
I
triggers
have a
it.
ghost. But my ghost only turns on and off the light over the stove.
My ghost?
Yeah, my ghost.
That ghost?
Well, the ghost that lives with me only turns on and off the hood vent light.
How do you know you don't live with the ghost? How long have you lived in that place?
Well, no, I think that I moved into the ghost's house.
All right, so it's not you're the ghost human. That's not your ghost. The ghost doesn't live with you.
You don't have
live with
ownership
the
over
ghost.
this ghost.
Yeah, but if you're a ghost, you don't need to stay
The
in one
nerve.
place.
Well,
If I'm a ghost, I'm going everywhere, man.
That's what I'm
Every night
thinking,
I'm
too.
somewhere else.
I
I'm
also-
not staying in one house.
I do more than just turn on and off hood vent lights, too, if I was a ghost, right?
Being a ghost would be dope.
Hold
I'm with
on.
you.
You think, Chris, that this ghost has full agency just to go wherever it wants? And it
I
just
imagine
chose
you're
to
just
stay a
invisible.
Billy?
You're invisible, and you can do whatever the hell you want.
No, man. Don't you know anything about ghosts? They're always like tied to the place they are because of some trauma that happened there. If it were up to them, of course they'd be on the French
They
Riviera.
should go to
They'd
therapy,
be on
though. Are there ghost therapists?
You should be one.
You're
French
of the
Riviera.
belief, Chris. You're of the belief that a ghost is not trapped within that a ghost can haunt multiple homes.
I just believe that a ghost can work through this and
Yeah.
talk to somebody about it, and then they can be like, okay, I feel good now to go off and scare other people.
I'm with Chris. I don't think we should be putting ghosts in boxes and say that ghosts can only be there to torment people and terrorize people. If I was a ghost, I would be like, you know what? It's exhausting being so scary all the time. Like, I just want to be a fun ghost. I just want to have fun. I want to go to the French Riviera, as we were saying before. But do I board an airplane? Can I just float across the ocean? How do I get there as a ghost? These are things that I would do. What do I do if my ghost daughter steals my ghost passport? I don't know.
See, this is why people write in talking about, I love this show, but they don't know what they're talking about. Because right now, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Oh, a ghost therapist? Hello, have you ever seen the movie Ghost? That's what Whoopi Goldberg was. They have to come to her and they have to ask her, and she has to tell them and tell their living relatives, like, what are the things to get them back to like living a normal life, and they could go to the afterlife. All these ghosts were trapped in the middle. They don't want to be here. You think they want to be here? They don't want to be here. They want to be in heaven. probably not hell, but they want to be in heaven. But they're stuck in the middle because of some unresolved trauma. And so there are these people, these mediums, who have to communicate with the dead to tell their living relatives, hey, this is how your Aunt Bunny can go to heaven now and live her afterlife as it was. What are you guys talking about? Like, I wish I would be a fun ghost. Like Casper? You ever know how Casper, the friendly ghost?
I don't think all
you
ghosts...
know how Casper happened?
I don't think all ghosts want to scare people.
Yeah, that's true.
But why does dying have to be so final?
It's not. That's why they're ghosts.
I don't think all ghosts want to scare people. I think they happen to be ghosts. They want to live their lives, and when they live their lives, they end up scaring the shit out of people. And it's like, damn, I'm sorry. I just want to go to McDonald's right now. I'm sorry that this door opening and you don't see anybody scares the shit out of you. Like, I can't eat McDonald's without scaring you. Like, I can't. Like, what do you want from me here? I'm gonna just sit in this closet all day. I need to live my life.
There's a lot of pressure as a ghost, right? I'd try to be a sneaky ghost because I wouldn't want people to know that I was there, right? Like if I go to McDonald's, I don't want to go behind the register and grab the fry and have people see fries floating around. Like, oh my God, there's a ghost here eating our fries. You know what I mean? I'd just go and I'd sneak a fry every once in a while. Just
maybe stand by the garbage when they throw it away, just like scoop it up real fast.
Exactly.
But then it's a floating fries flying away. See, it's tough out here.
It's hard being a ghost. I think we all can agree on. By the way, Whoopi Goldberg, EGOT. Yesterday, Jennifer Hudson, EGOT. Congrats, Jennifer. Anyways, back to ghosts.
At LeBatard Show on the poll question, I have a number of them here at LeBatard Show.
She got.
Do you imagine that a ghost haunts multiple homes? Or I guess I should say, how many homes can a ghost haunt? One? More than one? Because I think of ghosts as haunting only one home. Also, you're describing, when you say it's not your home, it's the ghost's home, you guys are describing that for them, we represent to the ghost what is the ghost's purgatory. Not where the ghost wishes to be. The ghost is trapped among us humans. The ghost does not wish to be here. The ghost, I thought, was trapped to a single house. I have not heard of a ghost going to multiple homes or multiple hauntings or to be a multifaceted two-way player of homes. I've always thought it's just the ghost is one home.
Now it makes sense why they go to hotels often, because then they can be in one place and then get different people. So it's not always the same, monogamous,
I see. I'm the opposite. I think of the ghosts. People are like, oh, why are ghosts scary? Because you got to have these assholes living in your space.
That's
like,
true.
I got to deal. You know, it's like, can you imagine you're a ghost? Like, this is the house that I lived and died in, and oh my gosh, and my life is unresolved. Well, maybe the next tenant will be cool, and then it's Billy. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to haunt this guy? Like, get out of here.
What's that supposed to? I don't think I'm very hauntable. Why am I so hauntable?
You're easy to scare. You're afraid of everything.
Well, I was told that this is a friendly ghost, I'll have you know, and it's not haunting me. It's just hanging out.
I don't think that that's how that works. If there's a home in your home, if there's a ghost in your home, you're haunted, whether it's friendly or not. It's still haunted.
What if I have like a mansion and I make one of my rooms a ghost room? And I like put everything in there that ghosts would love. So now the ghost feels included. The ghost is like, oh, wow, this person made some effort. I'm not going to scare them now. I'm going to live peacefully. Yeah.
Not a cat.
Jess agrees.
This has probably been one of my favorite conversations we've ever had on the show. And I have a lot of thoughts about ghosts, but I don't want to interrupt this. Why? Billy and Chris, like, you guys really are nailing it with the ghost content today. You guys have thought about this for a long time.
Well, where are you? But how much thought have you given it? Like,
Too much. I don't, like, that's, I don't even know where to begin.
The Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee is said to be haunted. There are all sorts of legendary stories. That was on the Pfister.
Yay.
I don't get it.
Wow, that was...
Just keep moving. Keep it moving, Dan.
Too late.
I just want you to know, I'm not going to say the line. There was a line that was said out here.
Really?
And then everyone was like, Tony's like, go, Billy, say it, go.
Yeah,
and then Whitney's like, no, don't say it. So I usually like get a consent.
What was it? I
can't
didn't
say
hear
it now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great doing the show with you guys that way. The Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee is said to be haunted. NBA players, well, I mean, you know the stories, right? I mean, one in Oklahoma City, right, are said to be the two haunted hotels in the NBA?
Yep. There's multiple stories of people hearing people rummaging inside your bathroom, find the sink turned on, all types of stuff. Kyrie Irving, I think, was one of the people who was like, I don't want to stay at this hotel, the one in Oklahoma City. I think it's called the Skirling or something like that. because it's haunted. And they don't stay there anymore, by the way. They built some new hotel in town, and now all the teams stay there.
I mean, I wanted to talk to you because we were talking earlier in the show in the first hour. We were talking about the finals and how hard it is, no matter how great someone is, to get into the pipeline of mainstream media conversation with talking again and again about how great someone is. But what Steph Curry is doing against that defense at a time that we're all watching and we're like, man, the Warriors, he needs more help. We're actually at the end of this run saying Steph needs more help. The shots that he's making, the places that he's making them from, the defense being played against him as he pulls everyone to him and has to drag Draymond around who's not doing anything. I don't know where this goes in the Pantheon through 4 games, but I can't believe how well he's shooting, even as he's redefined the standard for what shooting is in that sport.
So I've been dying to come back on the show. I wanted that fraud Mike Ryan to show his face in the midst of these NBA finals, in the midst of this man's accomplishments, to let him tell me one more time that Steph doesn't show up for the big ones. By the way, before these finals started, do you guys know that Steph Curry's finals average in scoring was higher than Kobe's and Dirk's and Dwayne Wade's and Dr. J's and Elgin Baylor's and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and a host of other players? He's 10th all time, and he's going to move up that list at the end of these finals with the way he's played. By the way, this is the Steph Curry who has appeared in every single NBA Finals game other than the first 2. We are literally stuck. People like Mike Ryan, I won't say we because I'm only going to apply it to the numbskulls like Mike Ryan.
But there aren't a lot of Steph haters out there. This isn't totally a straw man. Yes, no, there are many, but I don't believe people. I mean, you've watched this sport for a long time. You have expertise. Everyone knows this is a made man. Like, it's nonsense to say anything otherwise about Steph Curry, Finals MVP or not. Like, it's just sheer nonsense. But if you needed signature moments, he's just given them to you.
Yeah, exactly. If you wanted a signature moment that wasn't sending Matthew Dellavedova to the hospital with dehydration to be observed overnight, if that wasn't signature enough for you, Mike Ryan, then he gave it to you in Boston when, as you said, Dan, nothing was going for anybody except for him, and he hits that big shot, and Ime Udoka calls timeout, and Steph Curry, who always is joyous, always is celebratory, always shaking and shimmying, I've never seen him be angry Michael Jordan pissed after making a shot because he MF'd the crowd and said, I'm mother effing Steph Curry to the crowd walking away from his bench and flexing, and it was anger and it was rage and I could just sense that he was talking to every single Mike Ryan in the world who said, oh, he's not good, oh, he's not quite on this level. Put this in your level and smoke it. That's what he said right there. That's the next level. That's not signature enough. I don't know what needs to happen.
But I mean, do you not think that prior to these finals, he had not gone supernova Steph Curry? Steph Curry is an amazing player on an average night. But before these finals, I don't think we've seen a consistent level of performance like the one we've seen in these finals. Even in the games that they've lost, he's been tremendous. I understand he had one game against Toronto where I think he had 9 threes. Like, he's had some games, but consistently being the guy where it's a Tuesday night in December and you see on Twitter, flip on the Golden State game because Steph Curry's about to go off right now. I watched every one of those finals hoping for Steph to do that, and I just don't ever think he did, and yet he summoned it in every game of this series. Like, you can acknowledge that he's taken it to another level in these finals.
Could you not make the argument that the last game you saw him play, given what Boston's defense is and given that everything is structured around slowing him down, that's the best game we've ever seen him play in a pivotal moment? And I know he's got better statistical games, but I'm allowing for what the opponent is trying to do to stop him, and I'm allowing for the diluted nature of these guys have been at it for 10 years, and they're an older team now.
What's happened is the context around him, right? All the things that people would love to say about him, which is, oh, he plays on a super team. Oh, he's got all of these things are in his favor, basically. All of that has been stripped away. And now it's Steph Curry and a bunch of guys who are probably past their expiration date in terms of being super impactful in that way, and a bunch of guys who are too young. This is their first time at the rodeo and they don't know what they're doing. Against a team that is very experienced, albeit not finals experience, and is what people are calling the best defense of this generation, right? So what's stripped away all those things, those helping factors, but it's still him. Again, Chris, you say, oh, we've never seen him go supernova. He sent a man to the hospital. When have you ever heard of someone hospitalizing his opponent in an NBA Finals? Jordan, Bird, Magic, none of them sent somebody to the hospital afterwards. He did that. So I disagree with the idea that we've never seen him go supernova. We've seen him do it. It's just we've always had the feeling that, yeah, well, that was what your team was supposed to do. You guys are the better team. Of course you're supposed to beat them. Of course you're supposed to be great. Now this is the first time where people are like, oh, no, maybe they're not the better team. I think these Boston Celtics, it's their time. They're doing that thing. And he's like, oh, you think this is over. You think I'm past the expiration date. So this is why it's so impactful. It's because it's coming as an underdog for the first time in his NBA Finals career.
Well, this is where LeBron cemented his legacy forevermore after winning in Miami. When he won as an underdog, he could say forever, well, Jordan never did that. Jordan never won. In this sport, you never win with the lesser team, but people through 4 games, it's kind of seismic to watch it happen, because if Steph pulls this out over them, I believe we will think by the end of this, oh, they pulled the upset. They somehow, through 4 games, I believe people believe now Boston is better. The advanced metrics suggested we were underrating them. You see what they are with Robert Williams. Stan Van Gundy comes on here and says they're more talented. It's like varsity against JV when they're out there. And he also adds the qualifier. Maybe Steph can beat them with shooting, but it's not because he's more talented. Golden State is not viewed as the more talented team in this series at this age anymore, are they?
No, they're not more. They're not as a group more talented, but I defy anyone to watch that game and say who the best player in this series is. It's not close. Jason Tatum's time is coming, and maybe Jaylen Brown's time is coming. But if you're watching this objectively, say who's the best player in these finals, not who's played the best, who's the best player. It's that guy. It's that guy because he's consistently doing it. He's not. These guys are not on his level in terms of as good. Maybe they will be one day, but that day hasn't arrived yet. But you're right. Overall, as a collection of talent, as we said, like we talk about Golden State.
But he's never gotten that, though. I mean, when I'm saying in the storyline, he's never gotten the benefit of like, oh, shit, here's Steph Curry being better than everybody because he's the underdog. And when he's done with this, it'll be won because Steph Curry won it, and only because Steph Curry won it, as some of you question whether he could ever be a finals MVP.
Well, that's the stupid math that we're doing, right? Like, well, if he wins, it's like Dirk. Dirk's a loser, choker, soft, and then he beats Miami. He's like, greatest of all time, greatest shooting big man of all time. That happened overnight. I remember that happening overnight, where people consistently questioned Dirk, his toughness, about whether he's a one-trick pony, all of these different things. And he beats the Miami Heat in the finals, and overnight, champion. And people just stopped questioning Dirk, and he became beloved and celebrated unanimously.
And then moved over to Carmelo or the next guy or whoever the next guy is who can't win because you can't win playing that way.
I think in fairness, what's happening with Steph right now is not going to be a flippant narrative. It's just going to be additive, right? Like Steph is already considered a great player, but I'd be curious because Dan mentioned like, oh, yeah, Steph Curry's already got the respect. There's always kind of been this undercurrent, in my view, among players like LeBron and frankly bigger players that look at Steph and go, you can't be the most dominant guy in the league and be 6'2". That like there is a little bit of his peers going, we don't actually think he's the most dominant player.
Oh, Witty, did you miss what happened on Twitter last week?
I must have.
Where LeBron, someone tweeted, hey, Steph Curry, he's a problem or whatever, something, one of those generic like basketball Twitter remarks like, hey, this guy's really good or whatever. And LeBron hops in with, I've been trying to tell y'all, this dude is hyping him up. And I was talking about this with Zach Harper on the radio the other day. I said, you know what he's doing there? He's doing the time-honored tradition. If I get my ass beat by someone, I have to build them up to be the greatest, most unstoppable thing ever. Because otherwise, if he's just a normal guy, wait, I lost to some normal guy? Like, got my head bashed in that many times? No. Every one of those guys now is elevating Steph, because the reality is this series, what it will accomplish beyond the bona fides of adding a finals MVP, is the way he's doing it. He's not just doing it because, if they win, he's on the winning team and he's the best player on the winning team. He's been dominant in all 4 games. And I assume it's going to continue to be dominant. So if they end up winning, it's not just he won finals MVP. He grabbed that thing by the reins. And it wasn't because Klay hit a bunch of shots, and it wasn't because Draymond was so all-around amazing. It was like, I did it, me. Go ahead, try and give it to Andre Iguodala this time. Try and give it to somebody else. You can't.
I mean, I was wondering when I saw all of the stuff happening around Draymond, who has turned himself into a pivotal figure in all of this. You have a very good way of stripping down all the storylines, all the noise, all the nonsense, and analyzing just the basketball. That all of it is theatrical and it's nice to talk about, but you don't have time for noise or distraction or silliness. Draymond Green empirically made his coach bench him in the fourth quarter of the last game. A, tell me how hard that was, you imagine, for Steve Kerr to do. B, tell me what you think Draymond's reaction would have been if they'd lost that fourth quarter and gone down 3-1 after he had been benched, and what's real and what's just noisy around Draymond.
Right, so first of all, I got to quote my buddy Waz over at The Ringer, who, when they had this conversation about how hard it must have been for a coach with all that loyalty and history to bench Draymond, and Waz said, or a guy with eyes, because anyone watching knew he was actively detrimental to them winning that game. Defensively, I thought he had a much better effort than Game 3, but offensively, he was scared, and I've never seen Draymond scared offensively. I'm not saying he's supposed to shoot 80 times a game or whatever, but I'm saying in terms of playmaking, being tentative, him and Wiggins on that one play did the thing from semi-pro where it was like back and forth, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, as they inched closer and closer to the rim. And I'm like, what's happening here? I've never seen Draymond be indecisive like that. So he wasn't having a good game. Draymond himself said on his podcast afterward that it's funny. He was like, yeah, anything, if it's for the win, I'm here for it. I'll do whatever it takes for the win. But then afterwards, he starts talking about when it happened, hell yeah, I was pissed and I was irate, and it took like Chris Chiozza and Juan Toscano-Anderson and some guys at the end of the bench talking him down pretty much for him to recognize and realize like, oh, this needed to happen because I'm not playing well. And he said that he credited that talk for allowing him to get back in the game and make a couple of big defensive plays, which he did. He said that was because those guys made me realize I was being selfish in that moment. But then, as you said, like, this is a results business. And so if they lose that game, yeah, I'm pretty sure Draymond is not happy and saying, see, I told you so. And so he's definitely probably playing the results in that way. The other part about Draymond being benched was because Kevon Looney, who had played really well in these finals, was benched in Game 3 for I don't know what reason. And they ended up getting destroyed on the offensive glass as a result. He played well in Game 4 despite not starting. They started Otto Porter. And I think Steve Kerr finally realized, I need to trust this guy. We play better when he's out there. And so he stuck with Looney down the stretch. And it was easier to make that decision to bench Draymond because of the way Looney played.
You don't think that's a hard decision, though, right? Because you say anyone with eyes, but I'm talking about all the other factors. I mean, you've got the most volatile, combustible ingredient in your locker room, and you're running the risk in a fourth quarter of missing a few jump shots, and Draymond Green, you will have lost him. Draymond Green will be a problem after that game because you did not trust him and you benched him in that moment. I don't think that's as easy as you're making it sound.
No, it wasn't easy, particularly with Steve Kerr. I've seen him in a Game 7 play Harrison Barnes, who had been awful for 7 whole games, but because Steve likes Harrison and Harrison had been a contributor throughout their tenure there, it was like, no, I'm going to trust him. I'm like, you had everyone who played on this roster in this game as a positive plus-minus except for 3 guys, Harrison Barnes, Festus Ezeli, and Anderson Varejao. And Steve ended up playing all 3 of those guys in the fourth quarter of Game 7 because he liked them and because they contributed one way or another along the way. His trust overrided what was obvious. These guys aren't playing well. Now is not the time to put them in this with the series on the line. I agree with you. It was a difficult decision, I'm sure, for Steve. However, it's a difficult decision because of the emotion and the history in the same way that, I always marvel that Eric Spoelstra can be down 3 and he'll draw up a play for Dwayne Wade who hadn't hit a 3 since December in a playoff game, right? what would possess someone to do that? It's like this nostalgia thing or whatever.
Ghosts.
Or ghosts. Having said that, I don't think he would have lost Draymond for good. He obviously would have heard it for the next 48 hours. But I think Draymond is someone who's focused enough in the moment at the task at hand that he would have been fine by the next game. Now, in the offseason, maybe that would have been a conversation, particularly if they lose that game and they lose the series. Maybe that's a conversation that continues about, I don't know if I want to be here or whatever. But I think in the moment in the NBA Finals, I don't think he checks out. That's not what Draymond is like.
You say that, Amin, and I don't want to be total pop psychologist on this, but it is really rare for someone of Draymond Green's delusional confidence to be credibly questioned by front office member Amin Elhassan on, dude, you were scared, delusionally confident guy. You're out there and you're scared. You're doubting yourself. I didn't imagine a scenario where you could puncture the delusional confidence of Draymond Green.
Yeah, I don't think, first of all, I don't think he's delusionally confident. I think one of the great things about Draymond is he's very, very grounded on who he is. Delusionally confident guy would have gone out and shot 30 times. I'm going to hit these shots. I'm nice with it. Draymond knows who he is as a player. No matter how out of control he gets emotionally with the refs, with fans, with other players, in terms of, okay, now play basketball, he has a remarkable ability to stay grounded and make the right play, make the high IQ play. That's who he is. I'm saying I've never seen him be indecisive like that. He's always the smartest guy on the floor. He knows where everybody is, right? He knows the play before the play before the play. And he's setting things up and yelling at guys to get out of the way so that Steph is going to run this way, I'm going to go that way, and all of a sudden we got a wide open shot over here or a wide open layup for somebody over there. He's that guy. And then in that game 4, I saw him kind of be like, oh, what do I do with it? Like, just indecisive in a way I'd never seen. I'm sure if you ask, hey, were you scared? He's absolutely going to say no, right? He's not going to admit to that. But if you ask him, okay, were you indecisive? I think he'll credit like the size and the length of the Celtics defenders. But let's be real, man. When has that ever been an issue for him in his career against any team he's played for? We've never seen him be indecisive like this. And is that a temporary thing?
No, but that's getting to him. I mean, that's it getting to him. If you're saying, dude, if his mother's out here saying, I've never seen this Draymond, he's indecisive. Whittingham, close us out here with Amin.
All Steve Kerr's got to do, if he loses the game and everything is going wrong, just send him a text on his RAZR. Everything will be fine.